For the first time this season here in the commentary box, Naomi Schiff. Hello, Gnomes. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. So we're getting close to the start of the race. What will this driver be experiencing? Big nerves? Big excitement? What?
It certainly is a time leading up to the race where drivers feel quite nervous because that adrenaline is starting to build and it gets into your mind. So you've got to stay focused, try not to distract yourself too much. But I will say that it's once the formation lap starts, at least it was for me, that was a time where the nerves started to calm down and I got really honed in and focused on the start that was coming.
Here we go then. The formation lap is underway ahead of today's sprint. As all the cars take their positions on the grid, the final preparations have been made, and all that's left is for the drivers to deliver on track.
DRS now enabled. DRS enabled. Piastri has just set the fastest lap of the race. Leclerc's moved into first place. Okay, keep an eye on that gap ahead, please. 1.9 seconds. The Ferrari driver's just moved into first place. Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. Good job, nice overtake. Okay, mate, this is the final lap of the race. Final lap. Okay, so gap to the car ahead, 2.4 seconds. Good work, we're in P4. Okay, gap to leader, 4.3 seconds. Hamilton's ahead of you, and gap to the car in front, 2.4 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs, and Verstappen's behind. Less than a second separates you. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, you've just started the final lap of the race. Final lap. Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
So that wraps up the sprint race, but there's still more action yet to come this weekend. We've got qualifying and, of course, the Grand Prix. It's a United States love affair with Formula One at the moment, so what a thrill for everyone today to see our drivers lapping COTA at full hot lap speed. It's the Circuit of the Americas, and it's qualifying.
Okay, radio check, radio check.
Here we are then in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, the fabulous Austin in the great state of Texas. The circuit itself, 14 miles southeast of the city centre, has been home to the US Grand Prix since 2012, the latest in a long list of iconic tracks to have that honour. We have 10 turns to the left and 10 turns to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and turn 12 at this anti-clockwise track. It's 3.6 miles long and we should see average lap speeds of around 126 miles per hour. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Piastri, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Antonelli, Coulthard, Norris, Fernando Alonso, and Lance Stroll, Sainz, Albon, Yuki Tsunoda, and Webber, Ocon, Doohan, Nico Hülkenberg, and Ollie Behrman. Lawson, Hadjar, Gasly, and Gabriel Bortoleto rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. And joining me in the commentary box once again, Naomi Schiff. Hi, Gnomes. Now, I'll be generous here. It's not that long ago that you were racing and entertaining us on a Sunday. But in the years since, the sport has changed quite a bit, hasn't it?
It is certainly an interesting time in this set of regulations because, as you know, when a new set of regulations come out, everything changes and you always wonder who's got it right. Well, we know that Red Bull are the ones who really got it right the last couple of years. But now you can see the rest of the grid slowly start to catch up and there's really only so much left for Red Bull to get out of these regulations. So it is interesting and the pack are catching up.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out. We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Okay, mate, that was an illegal manoeuvre. You've got to cede that position or we'll receive a penalty. Okay, DRS is now available. And that's us in 10th position. Our gap to first place, 10.5 seconds. Norris just ahead, push for the position. Okay, gap ahead, 1.4 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. That's Albon behind you. They're on fresh mediums. Your pit window will be open in 7 laps time. Brilliant, nice move, keep going. The car in 9, keep going. 2.1 seconds. Lando's ahead of you now, and that's 6 laps until your pit window's open. Okay, gap to the car ahead, 2.0 seconds. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good. Okay, you're in ninth position. The distance to the leader, 12.6 seconds. Lando ahead. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by, 2.5 seconds. They're on old mediums. That's Stroll behind you. They're on old mediums. Your pit window opens in 5 laps time. 5 laps. All right, 16 laps to go. Okay, you're dropping a few tenths per lap to the car ahead. They're just edging away. Tyres are degrading fast. We can change strategy if you want. Check your MFD for details. Okay, keep an eye on that gap ahead, please. 2.9 seconds. We're approaching the pit window and you're going to be on mediums. going. You're running P9. Keep going. Alonso ahead. Okay, so gap to the car ahead, 3.0 seconds. They're on old mediums. Albon behind. So your ERS is running a bit low. Look into changing your ERS mode in the MFD for a more conservative burn rate, or you might want to try some lifting or gentle braking to recharge. We need to catch up with the car ahead. Gap is currently around 5 seconds. Okay, one stop to go, just one stop left in this strategy. We had an issue removing the right front wheel. I know it's not ideal, but let's try and put it behind us now and get back into this race. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Okay, so that's P20 right now, P20. Okay, that's Lawson ahead of you. And gap to the car in front, 1.2 seconds. They're on old mediums. Okay, Bortoletto behind. They're on old mediums. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. And 11 laps to go. And you've got P13, P13. Our gap to first place, 33.3 seconds. Okay, that's Bearman ahead. Okay, gap ahead, 2.1 seconds. They're on old mediums. Lawson behind. They're on old mediums. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Okay, we're into the last 10 laps now. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good. P12, you got P12. Okay, so gap to the leader, 32.7 seconds. Okay, Antonelli ahead. Okay, gap to the car in front, 2.6 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. That's Bearman behind you. Less than a second separates you. They're on old mediums. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Okay, gap to the car ahead, 2.3 seconds. Okay, you're in ninth position. Antonelli's ahead of you. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by, 2.2 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. That's Albon behind you. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, keep an eye on that gap ahead, please. 3.0 seconds. Okay, so gap to the car ahead, 3.9 seconds. P9, you're running P9, keep going. Okay, that's Antonelli just ahead, push hard. Okay, they're on fresh hards, Albon behind, 20.7 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. That was our last stop, no more scheduled pit stops, let's go. All right, 6 laps to go now. And gap to the car in front, 5.1 seconds. Okay, you're in ninth position. Okay, gap to leader, 24.2 seconds. Okay, Antonelli ahead. Okay, gap ahead, 7.1 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards, Tsunoda behind. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Look after these tyres now, you want to finish the race on this compound. Okay, just 5 laps until the end. Okay, gap to the car in front, 8.6 seconds. Antonelli's ahead of you. Okay, gap to the car ahead, 8.6 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Their tyres are 6 laps old. Time last lap, 1 minute 38.7. We're falling back by around 1.2 seconds a lap. Come on. Okay, some information on Norris. Okay, they're out of this race. Okay, the incident's been cleared. Let's get back up to racing speed. Come on. Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by, 11.1 seconds. That's 8th place, you're in 8th place. Our gap to first place, 28.9 seconds. Okay, that's Antonelli just ahead, push hard. Okay, keep an eye on that gap ahead, please. 12.5 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Okay, Sonoda's behind you. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Okay, this is your final lap of the race.
Well, it's certainly been an incredible year for Formula One, and our drivers have all pushed themselves this season, making it one of the most compelling years of racing in history. There can only be one champion, however, and here they are now, our new Formula One World Drivers' Champion. Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory, he wins! It's been a hard afternoon of brilliant racing, but now it's time for some proper celebrations. The podium awaits. And who gets to take the top step of the podium? Yes, it is I, Leclerc, Charles Leclerc on top. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.